Alrighty, so you guys are watching this on YouTube, so do the whole little dance thing with the like, comment, subscribe, and all that shit. And on top of that, I want to let you know that I'm aware I kind of dropped the ball this last 2 weeks on getting the weekly videos out. Those are going to be coming out later on tonight. Right now, I am running a little bit behind, so let me jump into the Discord and bring up the. Where did it go? Let me jump in there and bring up the live stream. As usual, let me remind you that the only way to see these things live and actually participate in them is to jump up the Discord and to attend these little live streams at 11 p.m. on Saturdays. That's Pacific Standard Time in the United States. And, if you don't do that, then you're stuck over here with... you're stuck over here on YouTube watching my stuff here. It's more fun on the Discord. Well, it would be more fun on the Discord if you actually, came to the fucking Discord. Which nobody does, because nobody cares. I'm not extraordinarily popular for some reason. It may have something to do with not being very good at the art part and not having done anything people give a shit about and all of that sort of stuff. And that's fine. That's where everybody starts. I used to be somebody. I used to matter, and that happens as you get old. Is the thing that used to matter, you stop wanting to do that, and you stop trying to do that, and it stops being a thing that people care about. But anyway, if you were here last week, you remember this image. You remember how it was converted from this basic little three-dimensional model here, and then I went through and I drew on top of it, and I have totally fucked this up. And the reason I have totally fucked this up is I have done the entire line art on a single layer. That was a terrible idea. That is not the way you are supposed to do this shit. See, what you should be doing is really, and let me just kind of rough this out and sort of point out how this is supposed to go. What you are supposed to do is, you're supposed to, let me create a new layer over here. You're supposed to do what amounts to, let's pick a green. You're supposed to do the torso on one layer. What the hell? Oh, that's good. Yeah. Still got it down there. Okay, so there's my layer. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put the torso on one layer. And draw through. So you've got the torso and the legs over here. And then that, you're supposed to draw through, and you're supposed to have all of your various stuff in play. And you come up the neck and all of that. And then what you end up with is you get something like that. And then you are supposed to add a new layer for the arms. We'll do those in kind of this purple here. So you put the arms on there, like so. You get your arms and hands in there. And these go on a different layer, so you can do a different pair of arms and just put them into the image. So what you end up with now is you've got these two layers. You've got one with the arms, and you've got one with the arms, and you've got one with the torso. And you can take the arms off, and there's the torso, and you can put the arms back on. You can take the torso off, you just got the arms. And then you do the head on yet another new layer. So we get kind of this, let's use a bright sort of turquoise color. So then you get the head that gets drawn on there. And that goes on yet another third layer. So you pull that off, and you've got here, you've still got the same sort of rough in of the body, okay? But you've now got it on different layers, so you could swap out the head and the arms and the body. So you can do a different set of arms and a different head to put on the same body. Okay, now the body and the legs sort of go together and they define the initial pose. But you could take these same arms and you could, for example, decide that on this particular case, here's my arm layer. I could go, you know what? I want a different arm layer, and I could turn that one off, and I could go, okay, I'm just going to put her arm, well, you grab that violet back, and you could say, I'm just going to put her arm hanging at her side like this. So then here would be the arm for that, and you could put her other arm, you could have her other arm kind of up and bent with a hand behind her head. And this purple is a really bad color for that. So, but you could draw a different set of arms for the same person. And then in any particular situation where you could go, okay, well, here she's got her arms crossed, and here she's got one arm up behind her head. And you could swap those out. I'm going to toss that one because that's just an example. But then on top of that, once you've got all that done, now, once you have that sort of rough in, you should, at this point, let's use like an orange layer here. You should now use yet another color and another layer to do the hair. And you put the hair in, and then there's yet another layer that you end up doing. You have another layer where you put, we're running out of colors to use, where you put your face. And you put your face on a different layer, so now you can go, you know what, I want her to have a different expression. And you can give her an angry face. And you can do all kinds of stuff with this, but by putting these things on different layers, then you have the ability to swap out the different characters. This is more important for something like a visual novel and not for the thing that I'm doing for Groping Festival, which is where you're using a particular setup, a particular you're using a particular image in the middle of the screen, but that image doesn't have to move. And what you'll be doing with something like that is, instead of putting the same person in different poses, like going, oh, well, you know, I want her arm back behind her head here. I want her to have a smiling, laughing expression here. I want her to have an angry expression. I want her to have a sad expression. Instead of changing the state of a character, you're changing the character you're using by, for example, swapping out the hair altogether. You can swap out the hair completely, And you can use different hair. You can go, okay, we're going to give a new character this green hair. And we're going to turn off the hair we've got, and we're just going to do kind of a nice sort of laid back, long hair expression. It's going to be parted in the middle, and she's going to have an entirely different demeanor than the other girl. And you can draw that out, and you can produce what appears to be a different character, because now it doesn't look like this is the same person with a different hairstyle. It looks like this is a different person with a different personality. Similarly, you can swap out the clothes. So you have this thing where you can draw the head and all of the different facial expressions and all of the different hairstyles, and you can put those all in an individual folder on the image, and then slapping those into the same folder allows you to turn them on and turn them off and go, okay, we want to use this head. We want to use this head with these arms and this body. And then we want to put that into these clothes. And you put all of those things together, and what you end up with is, because you have different arms, different body, different face, different clothes, then you now have all these different things that you could swap out. So if you do, for example, 4 different bodies, and for each of those bodies you do 4 different sets of arms, and you do 4 different heads, and you do 4 different sets of clothing, okay? What you now have is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64 different characters on the same body type. So you start with just one character, just one body type, and then that expands and extends to 64 different characters. You also have the facial expressions to mess with, but facial expressions don't really change who somebody is. So you might even combine those onto one layer with the hair, or into one folder with the hair. And you go to put folders inside of folders and that sort of thing. But the idea here is that by doing this, instead of having to draw hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of different characters, you start with just a few bases. Like you might start with 4 different bodies. You start with 4 different bodies, and honestly, each of those bodies, the arm position doesn't really matter that much. So you can combine those. So you've got a 4 there. You've got 4 different body types. You've got 4 different heads. And if you do 4 different heads for each body type, you're still doing 16 heads, okay? But if you do a head and you just move that head from body to body, that's another option. And you get the idea, you know? It's like those, you ever have one of those books when you were a kid that all of the pages were cut into 3 pieces, and you flip the different pages and you put different stuff together? It's like that. And you need to build your layer structure in a way that it supports this kind of thing. And all of these layers now are completely worthless. I do not need them. And I can't easily delete them. I have to do it like that. So we'll do that. And we do still have like the sketch and the composition and the line art. And I'm reasonably happy with the line art. I think that's gone okay. It even looks fine when you flip it. It doesn't look awful. Okay, you can flip it. Everything is fine. But if I can do a little bit of critique here, that hand has a problem. This hand also has a bit of a problem. The sleeve here, that arm should be wider. There are all kinds of little bits and pieces that probably need to be fixed. And what I really want to fix today, and what I want to work on here, is I want to get those layers together. See, I fucked up. I didn't do layers. I did all of my line art on just one layer, and I need to fix that. So what I need to do here is, instead of jumping in and saying, hey, we're going to push forward on this, I need to fix what I've fucked up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a folder. How do I create a folder? Is that, no, that's vector layer. That's a folder. There we go. So we're going to create a folder. And I'm going to take that folder and I'm going to, do I need to rename it? I do need to rename it. We'll call this bear. And inside of bear, what we're going to want is we're going to want this. Well, we're not going to want that. We're going to want another new layer. And that'll go up here inside of bear. So we're going to take this layer and we're going to rename it torso. So now we're going to back up to that 3D model. We're going to turn the 3D model on. And we're going to turn the line art and the layer 2. Layer 2 doesn't have anything on it anymore. Okay. So we're going to start with torso and we're going to rough in. Or rough in the torso. No, we don't want the... Oh, we've got that turned off. Oh, yeah, I messed up which layer to move in. That needs to be moved out, and it's got the wrong name. I'm not happy with this keyboard because the caps lock button is I usually pull the caps lock button off of my keyboards, but if I pull the caps lock button off of this keyboard, it leaves an exposed switch that I can still press, so it doesn't actually fix anything. So yeah, that doesn't improve matters. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump on down and we're going to work in black, and I'm just going to go, no, I do not want the fill bucket. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough in just the body. I've got a bunch of hairy lines in there. So we're going to rough in just the body. No. No. There we go. And come up here. And we're going to put that in place there. Okay, so now if I turn that off, we've got there we are. So now we've got this rough end of the body right here. That rough end of the body works, and we're going to name that. We're going to name that. Yeah, body is good. And now we're going to do arms. So we're at this point going to go new raster layer, and this layer is going to be for the arms. We're going to turn that off so we're not looking at it. And we're going to come in here. And we're going to produce this basic rough in of the arms. And we're going to draw through on a lot of this. Putting some of the shading in. Okay, so turn the body back on. You can see that the arms are now in there. You can turn those off and you can turn those on. Okay. There we are. Have I missed anything? I have not missed anything. Okay. Okay, and now that that's in place, we're going to jump back in here to the body, and we're going to extend the neck upward a little bit into the head, where it would be like behind the head. We're going to go arms, AMs. They're not amateur arms. These are totally professional arms. So at this point, we're going to layer up again. And we're going to go here. There's an ear. And this isn't final line art, so I don't need to worry about it. I do not need to put features on the face. Okay, so there is the head. So if I turn off that model there, we've got a reasonable base to work from. Okay, now working from that base is where we're going to start on the next part. So at this point, we've got all of this stuff together, and we're going to begin from this base right here. And working from that base, we're going to begin with a new folder. And we are going to call this folder, I don't know, I don't know what to call this folder. Let me think about this a minute. Okay, so we're going to call this assembled. Now, here's my line art. I want to reproduce roughly this line art, but I want to do it again with these 1, 2, 3 layers. And we want to go body, arms, and head. Okay. So from this point, our head, we also want an additional layer here for hair, And we want an additional layer for the hell. For expression, and the expression needs to go underneath the hair. The expression goes on the head but underneath the hair. The head goes in front of the body. The arms go in front of the body. The arms might actually need to be moved back and forth in front of the body. You might have front arms and back arms. You might have one hand behind the head and the other hand in front of the face. And you cannot put this on one layer. You're going to have to then move one arm to the back layer and one arm to the front layer. And you may even need to split the single arm. You may need to split that one arm into two pieces because one of them goes behind a front layer and the other goes in front of a back layer. There are a lot of situations where you have to do stuff like that, where you have to move things around and you have to like split the layer into two different sections. But instead of worrying about splitting that while you're in the process of drawing it, you do the drawing process sort of on its own in the middle, and you just kind of knit everything together. This is a digital workflow that I'm not comfortable with, because if you look at what I did last week, if you look at the line art that I did here, I did this pretty much exactly the same way that I would draw on a sheet of paper. Well, that just completely drops all of the important elements of why I'm doing digital art instead of traditional art. I need to understand how this process works and put things together in a way that leverages the power of digital art, which I am not doing. That crotch outline seems off. On top of that, in the body base, that needs to show that the leg is going in front of there. Let me turn that off, and that's better. That still seems exaggerated. I'm going to leave it because that's the way it is on the model, but yeah, so anyway, at this point, we need to move on to semi-duplicating the line art. Now, what we want to do is we want to turn off the body, and we want to just get the parts of the arms that are... we want to get the parts of the arms that are sitting in front of the body, okay? And this is one of those cases where you have, we have an issue with where things are, because you can see here that we're going to have this little shoulder bit there, and we're going to have this sleeve bit here. This would come farther out here. And of course it needs to wrap around here. I keep accidentally pressing the button on my pen. So that is actually, I'm not happy with this hand. This needs to come over here. And that's going to have kind of a knuckly shape there. And here we are going to have another sleeve, and that sleeve is going to bump up under that hand. And again, we've got a little bit of a pull in on the shoulder here. That's a bad line. Now, if I turn off the line art here, how are we doing in terms of the... I turn on the line art there, and I turn off the arms there. We need it. Okay, now... That's about what it needs to be right there. Turn off these arms. Turn off these arms. We'll turn these arms back on because we need to know where does our sleeve go. There's our sleeve right there. We need the sleeve inside here. A couple of wrinkles, and then, okay, that gives us roughly what we're looking for in terms of the clothed arms. So we can now switch over to our body. We can turn on our line art. And working from our line art here, we can turn on the body on this. And I've got... Let's put that in there, and we'll add that a little bit there. Add that bit there, and this bit here. This should draw through. And now we continue with, here's the collar. Now let's turn off that body, off the line art. I entirely missed the neck. Okay, so there's that. Now we need to fix the head, and we're going to turn off the arms here. Turn off the head here. You can see here's the shape of the head. Now, I want to make sure I get the ear. There's the contour of the face. So there's our head. we're going to come up here and we're going to do our expression. It's just a matter of duplicating the eyes, which are not great. I'm going to put them, nope. Interesting. It is harder than I expected to duplicate the expression. Okay. That's because of the parallax too. Okay. So there we've got that. Now we need to come up here and do the hair, and we'll do that right here. There our scalp lines in. The edge of the hair, and we'll do the sweep of the hair right here. Okay, now at this point we should be able to turn off the line art, and we've got pretty much the same idea, and we can turn off the base, and we have got a reasonable facsimile of our line art, which drop down here to the body. We need to round that out there. And over here on the arms, we need to pull this, which goes back behind the breast. We need to pull that. And this gives us a better starting point to work from. Okay, so now that we've got this this better starting point to work from, we need to come into the head here, and we need to erase the parts of the head that you would not see. All right, no, we don't. We don't need to do that because that's going to sit underneath the hair anyway. So because that's going to sit underneath the hair anyway, and the hair's going to be on top of it, and the hair's going to be opaque, and the hair's going to have its own color that sits over this. Okay, yeah. All right, so we've now gone from the original line art here. Let's bring assembled down. We'll bring base down. Base is already off. Now, if I take just the line art here and I turn off the assembled, you can see we started off with this, and now we have this, which is not bad at all. And you can reverse that, and ew, what happened there? Looks kind of funky. Body layer needs this bit. Body layer needs this bit pulled here. Arms. This needs to be a better line there. that on the body layer? That is on the body layer. But that is on the arms layer. And okay. Also on the body layer here. Layer. Clean that up a bit. Okay, so at this point we have a reasonable facsimile of our original line art. We started out with this line art, and we have now redone it, and we've got it back to into layers and whatnot. And because I'm not actually going to be doing multiple different hairstyles for this head, I am going to go ahead and pull the head outline off of this. Anything that doesn't need to be there. That's in the hair layer. Okay, so let's zoom in. Make that nice and small. And jump over here to the head layer. Give those little stragglers. Clean up this a little bit right here. Okay, we've now got something. Ooh. What did I do there? And the expression has a little tail on it. That was a mistake. Okay. No. Let's zoom back out. Okay, we have gotten somewhere on this, and we've gotten everything moved into layers, and I have even fixed some of the things that I had a problem with on this particular image. So we've gotten someplace on this. We've gotten some work together that well, we've moved into more of a digital process, which I need to do more of that. This needs to be just like the way that I work in the future, is to actually put this stuff together and work in a more digital fashion. And I don't really know what I'm doing with this. I have worked in traditional media for a really, really long time, and moving into digital art, it's a new thing. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, that I haven't gotten a handle on. Oh, there's something I need to mention here. Typically in the anime and manga styles, if we switch down to annotation here, turn that on, you can see here on the expression, I've got the eyebrow and the corner of the eye drawn under the hair. Typically, to indicate that the hair is transparent and you can see through it, they just draw the expressions straight through the hair, as though the hair wasn't even present. And that's a trope of anime that that has persisted for a long time, so you can see the expressions on the faces. I think that's the reason they do it, is so you can still see the expression and get the full impact of the expression on the face, and it doesn't look jarring that they do it sometimes and not other times. So I think that's just something that they do for better visual communication of the expression and better representation of the character. So yeah, that's why I do that. And I don't really have a whole lot more to say, and given that this has already taken me like 45 minutes, I don't think there's a whole lot more that I can do, really. Yeah, I could do a little bit of coloring. I think I want her to have kind of greenish hair. Not that green. More like that, yeah. So, yeah, let's use something along those lines. Yank that down, and we're gonna have to zoom in over here, and we'll begin coloring in the hair. Actually, that needs to be an additional layer that goes underneath of the hair. And in fact, that should go underneath of the expression too, so that you can still see the line art of the expression. So what we're going to do here is it helps if you actually select the right layer. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to kind of rough in the color. We use a fairly broad brush on this. Because, well, once we've done this, we're going to scale it back. So we're going to carve the color off of the face here. And I'll leave that kind of indistinct there. Actually, the color layer could go back behind the head as well. No reason it can't. You basically want layers behind stuff that's going to obscure them. Now what we can do here is we can actually go ahead and color through everything. We can divide this into front hair and back hair, for example. Okay. We could have the front hair that's in front of the face right here. We could have the back hair that's behind the face over on the other side. That's interesting. Interesting dynamic there. Carve that back away. Pull that space in. Carve that bit away. Okay. So that's gotten us somewhere on the it's gotten us somewhere on the hair. That hair's still too that hair is still too it's too bright. So okay. So now what I want to do with this is I want to modify this somehow. Selection. Edit. Tonal correction. And we're working with just the let's make that a little bit more yellowish. Desaturate it a bit. And we'll darken it somewhat. Yeah, let's go ahead and darken that a bit. And having darkened that, there we go. That's about the kind of thing that I'm looking for right there. And now, let's go ahead and deselect that. Brush, colorize, a little bit wider. Where's that? There it is, right there. There's one. And we're going to layer this hair color. Always label your damn layers. Always fucking label them, or you will lose them and you will not know where they are and what they're doing. That will drive you nuts. Okay, that works. I'm gonna start using my little scroll wheel here instead of futzing around with other stuff. Another thing I need to do is I need to start rotating to get better line work. That's important. I need to start working with that, just like I need to start doing more reversing. I need to do more flipping the canvas vertically, or horizontally rather, so that I can actually see what I'm doing and whether I'm doing a good job, which I'm doing better, I guess. This has gotten somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and save that, because that's basically all I have for this particular episode. I may do some more coloring. I may not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do know I've kind of left you guys hanging on the Wednesday videos for the last 2 weeks. I got some stuff that I want to talk about that has nothing to do with art. It's all about the in-game economies of various games, and specifically about the economy that I'm putting together in Groping Festival, because I've been thinking about that a lot over the course of the past few days and last couple weeks, really. Yeah, that's like that. That's it. I don't really have anything else important to say here. And so let me just remind you once again that if you're watching this on YouTube and you didn't watch the live stream, which of course you are, and of course you didn't, because there's nobody fucking here. There's nobody in here. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the Discord right now. There's nobody fucking here. There is nobody online. There is absolutely nobody online. Man, I don't think that's ever happened. It's me and a bunch of bots. That's the saddest fucking thing ever. Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's fucking sad. But anyway, that's it, and I will see you guys shortly with a whole bunch of additional stuff about in-game economies and how those are designed, and that's pretty much it. So thanks for being here. I do appreciate it, and you're probably watching this a significant amount of time in the future, because nobody fucking cares what I'm doing right now.